Hello fellow UX pros! This video is finally about solving problems. We look at my favorite way of solving them, by design. This is the approach where UX designers who did their user research can really shine. And it will finally be revealed why the sequence of events is so important. Now first, let's take one step back. What's the basic idea of risk control? Well, you can see it here in this graph. You have some risk for the Death Star in the red area, and the whole idea behind risk control is to bring it down as far as reasonably possible. Now, basically, if you want to find the risk control measures, these are the things you do to get these risks down, and they need to be done by design. Well, usability engineering is absolutely essential. And it's not only essential for the use error related risks, it's essential for all kinds of risk mitigations. Let's look into an example. You remember we have our first hazard related use scenario. First step, the Death Star approaches a star system. Now then let's look at the whole sequence leading to the hazardous situation. We start with, well, basically something could damage the Death Star, crew can be harmed, all these kind of things. To make this concrete, we need this sequence of events. And that's something coming out of user research, context analysis. See how the environment reacts on a thing like a Death Star. So here we have these three steps: detection, activation of defense system, and then, well, planetary defense system acquires Death Star as a target. Now, if you put this now in sequence, you have the use scenario, you have the risk analysis, and then you have the risk evaluation. And you see, red area. Now, the point is, of course, user research isn't the only thing you look at when you do define risk mitigations. So if you just look at the functionality of a single turbo laser, well, that may be more an engineering thing. But a lot of things which are happening on system level, on the overall product and how it's being used, or the overall medical device, these things are often found during user research and during usability evaluations. And that's kind of the secret sauce behind this whole thing. You're doing usability evaluations, mainly the formative evaluations, not to prove that your product is already perfect. It's to identify new sequences of events leading to new hazardous situations and to new risks. So now going a bit more into details, we have our situation, the sequence of events. Now, what can you do about it? Because, well, only complaining is kind of no fun. So let's look. First step, well, detection of the Death Star. You may remember the movie. You can use a signal jammer. Then rebels activate planetary defense. Well, you could kind of deploy a cyber attack on the planetary defense. So also our friends from cybersecurity are absolutely involved in this whole process. And then planetary defense acquiring the Death Star as a target. Well, there of course you go to your friends, the Klingons, and buy a cloaking device. And you see, this whole risk control measures by design, they actually aim at interrupting the sequence of events, so that one of these events which would then lead to the hazardous situation is just not happening. So if the measure is 100% effective, well, the probability goes down to 0. Now, you know, even if the probability goes down to 0 in this case, doesn't mean you're already in the safe area. It's still going to be a yellow risk, so you still have to do more to mitigate the risk. But that's the basic mechanism. You try to interrupt the sequence of events by these control measures by design. And by no means does this mean that only because the analysis comes from usability engineering. Only kind of workflow stuff or stickers or trainings can be applied to mitigate the risks. There are very well quite a lot of technical solutions you can apply to do this interruption. But as a UX designer, you need to have a very good understanding of the sequence of events, so that then the technical part can be solved by the engineers based on knowing what's happening and not just assuming what could happen, which is usually far less than what's going on in the real life. Okay, so that's it about risk control measures by design.